Hello, BookTube. I have some mail for you today on this bright, sunny Wednesday. It's only a few packages, but two of them are great big boxes, so that's always exciting. So we'll do the top one first. The only one's not a box. Let's see what we have here. What's a finished copy of something? What have we got here? Oh my! Oh goodness gracious! Okay, did not know this was coming. This is from Harvard University Press. Bless the university presses. They're still managing to pump stuff out to reviewers. Fantastic. Wow. Okay. Well. Okay. I have the perfect reader in mind for this. This is by Owen White, and it is called "The Blood of the Colony: Wine and the Rise and Fall of French Algeria." Look at that for a cover, huh? Talk about that. Look at that. I mean, there is the faded sepia tone cover, but someone put effort into this. Someone put effort into making this interesting. And Owen White is very young. Who are you when you're at home? Professor of History at the University of Delaware. Good for you. He is the author of Children of the French Empire, Miscegenation and Colonial Society in French West Africa, 1895 to 1960. And co-editor of In God's Empire, French Missionaries and the Modern World. Okay, so what do we got here? Colonial Algeria and wine. We owe to wine a blessing far more precious than gold. The peopling of Algeria with Frenchmen, stated agriculturist Pierre Berthault in the 1930s. In the last decades of the 19th century, Europeans had displaced Algerians from the colony's best agricultural land and planted grapevines. Soon enough, wine was the primary export of a region whose mostly Muslim inhabitants didn't drink alcohol. Settlers made fortunes while drawing large numbers of Algerians into salaried work for the first time. But the success of Algerian wine resulted in friction with French producers, challenging the traditional view that imperial possessions should complement, not compete with, the metropole. By the middle of the 20th century, amid the fight for independence, Algerians had come to see the rows of vines as an especially hated symbol of French domination. Algerians had come to see, after the war, Algerians had to decide how far they would go to undo the transformations the colonists had wrought, including the world's fourth biggest wine industry. The author examines Algeria's experiment with nationalized wine production in worker-run vineyards, and pressures that resulted in the failure of that experiment and the eventual uprooting of most of the country's vines. I'm trying to remember if I've ever had Algerian wine. Have any of you? I'm not sure that I ever have. And maybe that explains why. Fantastic. Absolutely fascinating. Okay, so, and I have my ergonomics all set this time around. I have, the key is, I not only have to have a place for the camera to film a puss, and that place is sanctioned by Lord Ganesha, but I also have to have a place not only for the packages I am picking up, but also a place for the packages I am putting down. I have to have a place for both of those. That's the proper ergonomics. So let's see what this first box is. It comes in very handy. I have need of a box for mailing. I am back to mailing things. And so far, it feels pretty good. Certainly, it's been very heartwarming to be welcomed by the crew at the post office. There's a particular post office that I'm talking about. I didn't always go there, but I was very friendly with the crew that worked there when I did go there. They were a great group of people, and they're all still there. They've been working right through this nightmare. And it was great to see them again, and to be welcomed back. But that was tremendous fun. The post office here in Boston, where I was most frequent as a customer, I'm never going to go to again. There's no conceivable reason why I would ever go to it again. But this one, I did a little scouting around and racked the brains. This one is right on a couple of routes. And that's essential if you're a crabby old coot like me. It's essential that your errands all be grouped together. So I think I can do... I'm careful. They are very careful. I think I can do more mailing. We shall see. So the boxes I will no longer tear apart. Instead, I will very carefully repurpose them, reuse them. And I have a recipient in mind. I have someone in mind who's got some books going out to them this week. But this box is full of stuff. I'm gonna pile them up before I start looking at them because I want to spoil a surprise. There are 4 books here. Oh, Okay. All right. Well, January 1st, 2021 marked the entrance of The Great Gatsby into the public domain. So Scribner's no longer has sole monopoly on it. They can't go after you in court. Anyone can print a copy of The Great Gatsby. And everyone is doing that. Everyone, every publisher in Christendom is slapping an introduction onto their own version of The Great Gatsby and rushing it into print, hoping to capture a sliver of that audience. And here we go. Wow, this is the Everyman Library edition of The Great Gatsby. Just that, just a slim Everyman Library edition. Fantastic. So this is the first Gatsby of that onrush that I've gotten, and it's the one that I would want to keep. That's pretty good. So this has an introduction by Malcolm Bradbury. That will be a reprint of the essay in that book, so it won't be anything new to me. Fantastic. I love these things. This is the Everyman Library. I think they're fantastic with the built-in bookmarks, nice solid binding. There is our author, who is famous today as a famous literary drunk, but everyone who visited him said the same thing about him that they said about Robert Louis Stevenson. They said, it's the smoking that's going to kill him. It's not the alcohol. Yes, he's drunk by noon, but he never stops smoking, and he can't sit up straight without coughing. So that's what's going to kill him. They were entirely right. Well, that's fantastic. What a start. Okay, all right. I think there's going to be a theme here to this package. I think this is going to be stuff that is now in the public domain, because this is In Our Time by Ernest Hemingway in a paperback. And that is terrific, because unlike Great Gatsby, which I reread frequently, I have not reread this in a long time. And this is lovely. Look at that lovely paperback. This is a lovely paperback by Vintage. Great. And okay, this is another Vintage paperback. This is Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. Also lovely. With an introduction by Michael Cunningham, who did The Hours, a novel about Virginia Woolf. Okay, these love. Oh man, another Vintage paperback. This is Manhattan Transfer by John Dos Passos. Terrific, absolutely terrific. So what was in this box is just great classics. I've just got a pile of great classics. That's fantastic. One of the same things going to be true for the second one. Oh my God, I would plot. I would plot. Although now that I look at this, I'm noticing that this box is from the same publisher. So it might be possible that this, it'd be the most disappointing outcome imaginable, but it might be possible that this is just going to be those 4 books again. And that, there was a clerical error. In which case, I will have 4 books to mail out to all of you. So we'll have to hope for the best. I'm hoping that it's not that. Oh, and it's not that. It's not that at all. It's something else. Oh, great. Fantastic. I was approached about this by the publicist. This is from Knopf, and I wanted it right away, and it is beautiful. In fact, it's much more beautiful. Wow. Okay, this is by John Ghazavinian, and this is America and Iran, 1720 to the present. There is the Shah, Thomas Jefferson, the Barbary pirates. Good Lord, this is lovely. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to have to check my records, because there's nothing in here. I'm going to have to check my records to find out when this comes out. Once upon a time, for 10 years, I wrote for The National in Abu Dhabi, the English language newspaper in the United Arab Emirates, and this would have been the perfect thing to pitch to them. My editor would have taken it sight unseen. They don't appear to be able to spread the cheddar around quite as easily as they did before. It was no acrimonious parting. I loved my editors there, and they were perfectly happy with me. I don't have that anymore. Automatically, I now imagine for the rest of my life, I'm going to look at books like this and think, I know exactly, I will just pitch that to my national editor. But no, I do. But I will find somebody who's interested in this, or I'll review it myself. Those of you who are new to the channel, I am, in addition to being a freelance book reviewer, I also help to run a literary journal, Open Letters Review, where we do reviews of new books. That's all we do. I should stress that again for the cheap seats. I should say that's all we do. Okay? Reviews of new books. So you're being very good company. If you want to review for Open Letters Review, I invite you to get in touch with me and give it a try. We have a great masthead, really, really good people, including a couple of full-time book reviewers and also some booktubers that you know. Olive at A Book Olive has recently joined Open Letters Review. Hannah at Hannah's Books has recently become an editor at Open Letters Review. Britta Bowler has been there from day one. And I invite you to do that, but we should stress again one more time, since the echo has died. We review new books. So we don't review old books, and we don't run pieces that aren't reviews. We don't do literary essays. We don't do literary ruminations of any kind. And it is singularly unhelpful, singularly tone deaf of you as an aspiring freelancer, if that's what you are, or a beginner, to email me, for instance, or any other editor on the masthead and say, well, I noticed that an editor on the masthead wrote a kind of essayistic thing. So if she can do it, I'd like to do it. A little piece of free advice. Don't do that. Okay? It's perfectly okay if you do it to Open Letters Review, because we are online only and we are small fry. But as a training ground, which is basically what we are for anybody who wants to maybe kick up a viable side gig as a reviewer, as a training ground, that cannot be discouraged strongly enough. And if you try that with a book section editor, someplace that's not small fry, that, I noticed that Norman Potter's got away with this, so I'd like to do it too. I just fell off the turnip truck in Okefenokee. That's not going to go over well with that editor at all. Not only will you be refused permission, but you will never hear from them again. So Open Letters Review reviews new books. We write reviews of new books. And the reviews are around 800 words long. So if you want to email me about trying your hand at reviewing a new book, you feel free to let me know, especially now that I'm going back to post offices. I'd be happy to mail you something new or try and get something for you if you can't do it yourself. But a few guidelines. Number one, we review new books. So don't propose something that isn't a review of a new book. Number two, we review them at around 800 words. So don't send me something that's 3,000 words long. I'm going to tell you this is 3 times too long. I'm not going to help to cut it down to size. The key to being a freelancer is that you know where you're sending things and you submit accordingly. And number three, I won't say know your place, because that sounds horrible, but don't ask for exceptional treatment. Okay. But anyway, well, the reason I mention that is because I have a venue to review stuff like this, that this is obviously going to be worthwhile to review. So I have a venue to do it, even if no other venue will give it to me. So fantastic. Didn't expect it would be this pretty. America and Iran. The whole history of America and Iran. Fantastic. All right, so there you go. That is our mail. A pretty good mail haul, I think, as mail hauls go. So we have America and Iran. A history. We have The Blood of the Colony, a study of Algerian winemaking as first a tool of, and then an unpleasant reminder of, colonialism. Can't wait to dig in, and I might not have to wait to dig in, because I don't have pub sheets on either of these. These might both be January releases for all I know. We have the Everyman Library edition of The Great Gatsby. At long last, it gets to just be right in there. We have In Our Time by Ernest Hemingway, these gorgeous paperbacks that I've got here. Manhattan Transfer by John Dos Passos, well worth a reread. Also a long time since I reread it. And Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Great. Fantastic. There are still pieces of mail out and about for me. All I'm saying is that there'll be more mail. Maybe not today, but the mail is not coming crashing to an end. That I have a strong suspicion. I'm 60 to 70% convinced that the mail will come crashing to a halt for at least a few days next week here in the United States. But it won't be because of publishers. we shall see. We shall see how all that goes. But in the meantime, that was the mail. I don't think I'm going to get anything else today. But if I do, if a ninja delivery comes late at night, I will set it aside. I will exercise the self-control that so few of you would possess in return. I will set aside unopened packages that I know perfectly well contain books until tomorrow, when I can open them for you. See how nice I am, and yet everybody shuns me. Nobody wants to do Zoom chats with me. Nobody wants to do buddy reads with me because I smell. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.